what we're going to share with you today in our change management introduction session is, on the one hand, an overview about change management, the benefits, of course, of change management, also the fields of application, and very important for us also, some tools and techniques from the methodology that you also have something to take away and you have an idea how you can utilize change management for yourself. But before we start with the topic, we're a small group and probably you know some people, Tim, I know some people here in the group. Gets a very brief introduction of myself for everybody who does not know me. And my name is Anna. I'm senior manager at CPC, working in consulting business for almost 15 years now. And what is interesting about it, out of this 15 years, that half of my time was actually in Asia. So I'm really well linked and connected to the Asian countries, mostly China, also Hong Kong, a couple of times Singapore. So this is also where I like to go and to travel. In my professional career, I do a lot of projects in the field of organizational development, agile transformation, currently the latest trends of topics. But what is like my heart and also my passion in the project is a topic of change management. And this is also the reason how I came up with the idea to actually start to multiply and share the expertise of change management, what I have, what we have as a company. For the people of you who don't know CPC yet, it's the leading German change management consulting company. So there's lots of competency and expertise behind. And I had the idea to put all of this knowledge into a qualification program to be able to multiply and to share it very easily, as I see so much benefits from the basic principles and tools of change management, that I just like to share it. And therefore also everything what we're going to share with you today is also out of this program, where you can also get all the details, and you will see hopefully also like the benefits of this kind of collection of topics. And therefore also I'm super happy to found Tim, actually the topic of change management connected us, as we met via LinkedIn on the topic, and also have now somebody who is as passionate as me about change management and driving the topic in Singapore. And Tim, maybe you also give a brief introduction of yourself, and also Charlie, our common friend, who is with you in the call.
Yes, we have Charlie here. Maybe I start with Charlie because that's Anna and myself, we actually never met. And I just realized it as well. I mean, we have been talking so many times, we have so many commonalities, but I think the person who is connecting us is Charlie. So Charlie is a little bear coming from the Black Forest, traveled to China and brought the topic of change management closer to a lot of companies, a lot of people in China. And in August, I think Charlie then took an airplane and come to Singapore, and since then is enjoying the beaches and the sightseeing spots in Singapore. And he likes the weather. It's much nicer than Beijing right now. So he's accompanying people in their learning journey when it comes to change management, but also is a change agent on projects. And he's trying to bring his expertise on change management, which is a lot about honey and other delicious things. And I think that's always a good motivation on how to go through a change journey as well. So that's Charlie. So thanks a lot. You're welcome. And myself, as Anne already mentioned, I'm a passionate change management practitioner as well. I started over 10 years ago looking deeper and deeper in change management, starting out of my knowledge management career, where you need a lot of change management to convince people to adopt these knowledge management practices, and then really started and continued in manufacturing excellence and continued the change management expertise in various fields. Where I'm focusing on right now with Hive 17, a consulting company here in Singapore, is the aspects of innovation, the aspects of operational excellence, with a specific focus on how leadership how leaders should act within the environment of enabling people and driving people through their change journey. So that's a few words from my side. But maybe we go jump into the topic. I think that's more we can talk more about all of us in the question and answer session. But maybe we jump into the topic, and we want to start with the question: with a short poll of do these pain points sound familiar to you? And in case you're not familiar with Google Meet, which we're using today, there should be at the bottom right, should be something popping up. So just click on it, and then you can choose your favorite answer on what is your key pain point which you see right now. So the options are, there's an inconsistency between strategy and how the leadership is behaving. So that this is one of the pain points you're seeing. Then there's the mindset which is prioritizing internal focus over customer value, that some companies are just focusing on themselves instead of looking on how we're creating customer value. Then I hear that as well with customers. They see this passive behavior, this inertia, and this just leads to low productivity. Then there's this, I've experienced that as well, is these people skills or leadership programs which are simply not adopted in daily work and then lead to wasted efforts, or there's no clarity on what are the priorities, and because there's just too many initiatives ongoing. Or there is a slow process, it's very slow progress in this transformation journey, which we then have the impression that we are behind the competition. So there's a few options of pain points which we have seen in the market right now, and I'm curious to see a little bit where would you put your vote. So on my side, I see there's one vote. So it's sometimes difficult. Maybe all of them are valuable for you, that you see that all of them are applicable, but it's sometimes difficult to choose one, right? It looks like that we get a very clear winner. So
we still have some more people in the round, so if you like to adjust the result, please give your vote now.
So there seems to be this, we have the strategy, but the leadership teams are not behaving in that way. It seems to be that this is really a clear winner. And we took these different topics, not because they are change management topics, but these are topics that change management can support. And maybe in this concept, I am closing the poll here as well. I think many of us are familiar with that, and we want to start a little bit the presentation on this change curve, because I think that change curve is really important to appreciate. Why is change management important? And one of the things about this change curve is that it's not something which we need to dread on. Is this dip in performance, and that dip in motivation is actually something natural, is something which we can expect, should expect, and it's not something which we can try to avoid. And I think that's important in change management, that dip will arrive, and we have this we are surprised about something. No, we don't. That is not happening for me, with the denial, and then no, this is really. Why are we doing this? I don't understand this, and then no, I'm just giving up. Like these first few steps in that change curve, which are very emotional, bringing the emotions down, is something which is happening, and we have then actually neuroscientific studies have actually shown that this is something which is naturally happening. And I think what is important here is that we are not trying to avoid it, but we're trying to manage it. And I think that's where change management is coming in, bringing the people then on this journey then slowly up again and say, okay, let's just give it a try. Maybe something which helps us. Let's experiment with a few elements which are presented to us. Let's get involved, and then slowly developing that confidence that, okay, let's do the right decision. Let's move forward, and creating that momentum in your project, which is transformational, or simply a change project where you want to bring a certain topic forward. So we want to share a little bit, to start the entire presentation with that change curve. And important to note, this is something which is happening. It's not something you can avoid, but it's also something which you can then work with, and building the confidence with the people that they can be successful through that change journey. But then handing it back to Anna, what is now the impact of change management on that change curve?
Yes, exactly. Thanks a lot for the explanation and the nice introduction into the topic, because this is now exactly where change management comes into place. And the big purpose and advantage of change management, if you do it in a good way, let's call it like this, is actually to, on the one hand, shorten the curve, and on the other hand, also to smoothen it, to make it actually flatter. So what you see here is like the way from like the current or the former state into the future state, which could be on the one hand very long and with a deep valley in the middle, or best case, you are able to shorten it and also like have it flatter. And of course, what does it mean if you are, as a company or as an organization, leadership team or project team, able to shorten the period of time where people are like stuck in this kind of low performance level? It has of course positive impact on your performance, on the benefits of your company, on your business value. And this is also why even some people say, okay, change management is nice to have. Yes, it is, but it has really sustainable impact on the value of business, what you do. And there are also some studies available, and please don't challenge me on this, because personally I think it's very difficult to find good studies on this and also to give like really scientific proof. But these studies done from a company in UK, which is very dedicated to change management, says that on large projects where you have change, and this large project, they classified as bigger than 2 million projects, it's now Singapore dollars, you have a return on investment of 6.5. And this is something where I see is like really big value, and I see in my personal experience that this is something beneficial. And also probably also another point where we all experience, and we saw the pain point before, I really like your answers, is if you, as a leadership team, you're able to reach this kind of future state, and it's going to be sustainable for the company, your credibility as a leader is increasing dramatically. As very often what you see is like this changing priorities, changing strategies, where you have like one curve after the other, never reaching the really future state. And this also has like, of course, negative impact on the leadership team, on the credibility of the leaders, and of course also on the motivation of the employees. And therefore, change management has such big impact. But what actually is the meaning of change management? Probably also move on. And I give you a short definition, because if you Google change management, you will find hundreds of different definitions. If you're like in Germany and you Google, you'll find the CPC definition, as is like the leading one in the internet. But what is like for me the common part? So for change management in CPC, we define it as an integrated approach to successfully transform organizations, to achieve business value, focusing on its people, and to work better and more satisfied. And what is important for me in this kind of definition is, on the one hand, the integrated approach, because change management is never standalone. It's always linked to another project, to business value, to something what you like to achieve. And therefore also it's so important to really have something to achieve business value, because, and this is also something very important to me, and please take away from the session today, if there's no need to, or if there's no way to increase the business value with any kind of change, don't change. So there is no need to change just for the reason of changing. And some people like to change, yes, but it's a lot of work, it takes effort, and therefore please only do if you can achieve higher business value with a project and the change you're planning to do afterwards. And probably also maybe just a small story to share from my own history, and also the topic of change management and the meaning. My first project, and also like the background of CPC like 20 years ago, is like very much in the area of project management. We did huge project management for IT system implementations. And from a lot of customers, we got the feedback, somehow the typical project management office, somehow your project management office is way smoother, and our project somehow way better than other consulting companies, what we have. And thanks a lot for the feedback. Very good. We have high quality, of course, what we do. And it took us actually a while until we realized what we do already in our project management is integrate change management. And like 20 years ago, even change management was already like a concept. It was not like really commonly known and people were not aware of it. And so we started to engage into the topic, discover the methodology, dig deeper into the tools and techniques, and realized a lot of things what we are doing and a lot of things in change management are common sense. But putting this into a structured methodology, also this kind of definition, helps us a lot to use it systematically, and therefore just increase the impact we can have in our projects and also talk about it and explain it to other people. And this is also why this kind of technique is so important and helpful for me in my daily work. And why also like change management is so important in our daily work is something what I like to show you on another graph on the next slide. Because what you also see, and here also just get ready because I'm going to ask you a question about it afterwards, is the combination of, on the one hand, the quality of the solution and the quality of the implementation. Because if you really want to have the full success of your, we call it now the strategy and the implementation of the strategy, you need the combination of both. So what does it mean? And here's also like the graph who should give like this in an easy example. You have a lot of people focusing only on the quality of the implementation. And this you see on the horizontal, like on the very, very right. So just imagine you have like a beautiful IT system. As an example, you're putting a lot of effort into the development, but nobody knows how to apply it. So implementation would be very poor because a lot of people just do not know how to utilize this. They will stay with their Excel sheets, they will stay with the workarounds, they will stay with the manual processes, and nobody would really utilize it. On the other hand, if you just imagine, you just focus on a very I was mixing up the X's, I'm just realizing. If you just focus on the quality of the implementation and you spend a lot of time on explaining the people how to utilize it, how to do it, what's the value add, what kind of functions available, but the functions are very poor, people will realize very quickly and just don't use it because it's no value add. Why should I do it? And therefore, this kind of combination is just so important. And I really like to emphasize also like the equal importance of both. Because, and this is also now the question for you, where do you have examples where you spend a lot of time on the quality of the solution for topics? I think this is something what we do in our daily work. We spend a lot of time on the concept, on the strategy, on the design. And maybe you have some examples where you actually did this. So anything you'd like to share, just type into the chat where you have an example where maybe you or maybe you observe in your company with your colleagues somewhere else, people spend a lot of time for the development of the solution, but probably not enough time on the quality of the implementation. I just give you some seconds, or if you have other examples, even better to share where you saw it that's like working really well.
And if you prefer to speak than typing, I mean, please feel free to take
the yes, of course. Daniel, you're unmute. Did you want to say something?
Oh, you want to? Yeah, absolutely. It's difficult. I agree with what you say, that the solution and implementation are quite important. What I would see, what we should also factor in is complexity. Mm-hmm. Because when you have a solution, usually this solution touches on other consequences. Yeah. So I found in mine is actually, I work with companies that failed to change. Mm-hmm. So usually I go into restructuring situations when it was too late. when already the bank or the major shareholder said, no, this is enough, the management has to go, we have to restructure the company. So there was always this resistance to change. So there was neither solution, much less implementation. So what I learned on the solution side is to break them down into small, there's one guy that calls it fail-safe probes. And I found that this was working quite well, because you put it into small parcels, whether it is a manufacturing setup or it's the process flow within the company. And then it's much easier for people to digest, when you put it in small parcels. And the implementation part basically comes in with itself, because the people are starting to organize themselves and to manage themselves. So you don't have to helicopter them all the time. And with this, you also change the culture of the people from a top-down to a more collaborative approach. This is what I would say.
Very good point, and you will also find this point later on in our methodology. I totally agree. Any other examples? Does somebody like to share? Okay, otherwise, don't worry.
We will cover maybe more than in the question sections.
Yes, we do. And I guess we all have our own experience. Actually, latest example for myself, also like the qualification program for change management I was talking about, we spent months on the solution to put it together, to put in e-learning, to make everything beautiful for the customers. And during the process, we also had slowly the idea, okay, we also need to implement it. We somehow need to find a way to multiply it. And from like the levels, we definitely did not balance this. So this was my personal learning, and why I'm now sharing so actively about it, to see how to leverage and how to do. Okay, so I think you all get the point how important it is to have both the solution and the implementation. But the question, and now this is something where Tim will give you also some examples and discuss with you, but actually what are the fields of application? Because very often also customers come and ask me, hey, I have this and this topic, and is it something for you? And I say, yes, actually it is. It's change management. So Tim, you like to give an overview?
Yeah, sure. And that's a little bit, is there a change management project? And I think that's always a question. So what is a change management project? And when I think about this topic, there is actually, and as Anna, as you said it before as well, we shouldn't make a change just for the sake of change. So in this sense, there are projects, and by the nature of any project, you are changing something. And when you're introducing a new technology, a new system, or you're introducing a new process or a new policy, you are introducing change. So basically every project is introducing change. And then the question is then more, okay, which of these projects is it good to be supported by change management? And I think it can be very broad, and it's not your maybe one week small project to organize a lunch with a group of friends. That might be a little bit difficult to really apply all the concepts of change management. But even still with that, you might take some of the principles and take it with you. So very broadly, you see it on the slide, there's different types of projects, and in all of these projects, and especially when it comes more where the more impact there is on people, the more people are impacted. And I like in the CPC methodology, we call this the adapters. The bigger the group of adapters are, the more important change management principles are. But I also, and again, I mean, maybe use a chat and use or feel free to grab the microphone. I like to say that grab the microphone, or even though we're not handing around the microphone, please share also from your side, where do you see, or what are types of projects where you're currently working on, or you have worked on in the past, where you see this is really where either change management helped a lot, or change management would have helped a lot when we would have done it in a more structured way. So I want to hear a little bit more from your side. Either chat, just give a few keywords, or grab the microphone and share one or two types of projects where you see the benefits of applying change management. this is the sharing here is really for the benefit of all of us, that we get a little bit of broader perspective on what is happening from your side.
And just in case, Ollie, you're following us, I know you have also a lot of projects where change management is necessary. If you like to share, you're really welcome.
I guess I would say for all of them, just very simple, because there's no more or less, because each of these projects seems to be an impact for the people which are impacted by that type of project. If you speak about culture, it's about the culture in my company, for example. So it's about me and how I behave in my company. It's something, and my colleagues. If you talk about strategy, it's also about something which is more or less related to me, typically, and how can we bring it more to the people, that it's their strategy, not the strategy of the company, also the strategy of the bosses. Mm-hmm. So then we have the organizational structure. I'm typically, if I'm in an organization which is to be restructured, I'm typically either angry or I'm have some fears or something like that. So I have to handle that if I do an organization structure. And if I talk about leadership, so the leaders, that's something which is quite really interesting. A lot of companies, a lot of organizations, a lot of people which do leadership projects in any type forget that the leaders, if they have changed at themselves, so if they have some impact by the leadership project or whatever you're doing there, they're impacted by themselves. And then you're losing one really crucial function in your organization, which is leadership, because they will handle their change impacts, and so they have to do and to handle that side of. And then you will miss their leadership in your organization. And process is the same here, because change of processes has something to do to change with what I'm doing today and what I'm doing tomorrow. So if I'm today a person in HR department, for example, the process has changed. So will I be the same person in the tomorrow, or will I be another person? Do I have other responsibilities? Do I have to do other tasks, and why? Especially the why. So will that help us in our company? So we have to explain that. And in technology, this is one of the projects I'm typically in regarding technology. A lot of people think about, I'm an engineer. Typically, in my history, some days past, I thought, technology change is just about understanding it and then doing it. But it's more than that. It's there is a lot of change impact for the people which have to apply the new technology, which are related to the new technology, because new technologies, especially the digitalization topics we hear around the last few years, they have something to do with culture, with strategy, with processes, with leadership, and so on and so on. So they are full of change management aspects.
Okay, a lot of change. I see. It was a good question to you. I saw.
I mean, maybe sharing from because there's one aspect which you mentioned, Oliver, which I think many of us have gone through as well. These reorganizations or restructuring, and even though it doesn't necessarily has to do with laying off people, but I think any type of reorganization, and I've experienced a lot of reorganization where companies sometimes at the same time changing from a global structure to a regional structure, or from a regional structure to a local structure, and then back again to a global structure. So all this moving back and forth. And what you mentioned is that creating of fear, even though you might understand the initial business benefit, but it still creates that fear. And that's why that's linking back to the change curve I've presented at the start. And then it's important to not only have this more intellectual understanding of what is the benefit for the entire company, but then really the emotional understanding of what is the benefit for me, what is the impact on my contribution to the entire company. And I think that's where, when we have a lot of adapters, it's important to have these thoughts and look into that.
So we also have a comment in our chat that the usage of proper change management would have added value for a lot of projects you have done recently. Thanks for this also.
I'm actually curious to hear if it would have added further value. So do I understand that correctly? So that was not really done very well, and you wished to have done it better, the change management part?
Yes, exactly. Maybe a bit of background. The projects were done in a student initiative, like a student consulting organization, and we did a lot of process redesign, or like the redesign of IT systems. And looking back, I think if we would have maybe implemented a bit of change management, or even just had these methods present, that the project outcome could have been a lot better, and I think our customers would have been they would have had way more value from our project.
This is actually one of the, sad points about change management. A lot of people realize afterwards it would be good if I applied before. The very good thing about this point is they realize, and for the next project, they can apply. Yes, I know this learning.
Maybe that's a good moment then as well to introduce a little bit some of the concepts of the CPC change management methodology. So Anna, you're the best person to introduce that. Okay, sure. So let me give you a very brief explanation about this. And this is what we call the so-called magic formula of change. So you see a lot of letters here. Don't worry if you're not a genius in math, no need to be. But if you take anything away from the session today and about change management, this is for me like a very basic starting point for change management, which instantly added value if you consider in your work or in the projects you are doing. So what is the meaning of D times V times S bigger than R? No idea. Very, very easy behind that. I like to explain the topics of dissatisfaction, vision, and first step and resistance, and a very maybe easy example from your daily life, because we all want to become like fitter, want to have like a beautiful toned body. The women like to have like the beach body. So now winter time is coming in Europe, so we are safe. We need to prepare for the next summer. And we all know like our inner temptation to not do it, to not go to the gym, to stay at home, stay at the sofa, to have like the convenient food, not the healthy food. And we all know how difficult it is to change. And what is behind? And Tim explained it already at the very beginning. This hesitation for change is like very natural, and it's like totally human. So if you want to change, we need like 3 elements, and this is like the starting point. And this is also like the starting point for every leader who wants to initiate change or who wants to change something. First of all, we need some dissatisfaction. If I'm not unsatisfied or dissatisfied with my current body, I would not change something. Because why? I'm totally fine the way how I am. So they need to be like this kind of, oh, my belly, oh, my arms. There need to be something to feel unsatisfied, to be able to have the idea, okay, I should start something. Then the second element, and this is also like very crucial, you need to have the vision. You need to have the target, what you want to reach. You need to know how you want to look, and this needs to be as specific as possible. And of course, also it should be attractive to myself. I should like this picture. This is best case, right? Then you're able as a leader to create a future vision, a target picture, which is attractive for people to say, yes, I exactly like to look like this model on the magazine. Of course, I do already, but could be even better. So putting this picture on my fridge, and I know, okay, this is like my target picture. I would like to look like this model, even this is like Photoshop, doesn't matter, but you need to have a very specific and a very clear picture of the vision and the target you like to reach. Because if you don't have this, there's no need and no understanding of how to do and which direction to go.
And the third part, and this is also very crucial, and this is what you mentioned, Daniel, in your part, you need to have like the first steps. You need to know how to start, you need to know what to do, and it could be like baby steps. So no need to have like very big things. Actually, even better the smaller it is. So if I don't know to which gym to go, to which food plan to follow, I have no idea how to reach my target. And therefore, this kind of start doing in small steps is very important to do. And what I also always like to emphasize for the 3 elements, there's a reason why they're connected with times. Because if one of the elements is like 0, and this is not really like math, it's not working. If I have no plan about the first steps, how to do, I won't change because I just don't know how. If I'm not unsatisfied, I won't change. If I have no target picture, I would not start going. Why? Where? And all of the 3, and this is also important, and I like you to take away, needs to be bigger than the resistance. And this also means as bigger the resistance, as bigger like the inner temptation. In German, we have like the Schweinehund, like the thing which is like hindering me staying on my sofa. As bigger that is, the bigger and the higher need to be like the dissatisfaction, the vision, or like the first steps. Otherwise, you cannot balance and there won't anything to change. So these are like 3 very simple steps, 3 very easy points to take away. Of course, the challenging part is now how to work on the dissatisfaction, how to develop the vision, how to know what is like the best first step. And this is now something that Tim will give you more insights on, and which is like also part of the methodology to actually go into the different elements and to have the tools and ideas how to work with this.
Thank you very much, Anne. And I came across the CPC methodology early this year when Anne and myself started to exchange and what works with that. And then when I saw the methodology and I saw the certification program, I said, we need to bring this into Singapore because I really think this is a fantastic way, a holistic while very simple approach to change management and to change management practices. And one of the core elements are these 4, which are called the 4 knowledge areas, which I'm basically looking at the matrix. On the one hand, we have the change journey, which are the typical steps you also see in many project management methodologies. This is not rocket science. But on the other dimension, you have these 4 knowledge areas which you are considering throughout that change journey, and even from the very beginning. And let me just very briefly, Anna, you were right, we're taking a lot more time than we actually planned, but we also had a very good conversation. So I tried to keep this one short. So it starts with that impact, and we talked about that. What is the business value we want to create? What is actually also the value we want to create for the adapters? So that there is a strong focus on what is the impact, what is the vision we want to have. I actually adopted into English the German word Leitbild, which loosely translates into an imagination of the future state, which is guiding us, giving us direction. So what is that, what we want to work on? But it's not something which is set in stone, that might evolve throughout the change journey along the way. And based on this impact, we then also can work with this enabling and engagement of the adapters. And important here is even the impact doesn't come from top down, and it's that we're allowing, and that's with that adoption, with that implementation of the change, we're allowing and encourage and actually want the impact and the design from the adapters, what they feel is best to do with the solution, but also how are we adopting to it, how are we implementing it. And that's that continuous conversation, continuous engagement with the adapters, and enabling them to drive, to enjoy that change journey. And I think that's what enabling an engagement or motivation is all about. Leadership I think is a fantastic topic, and it really fits to how I see leadership. Leadership is not reserved for the senior management people. leadership is something which is going across the entire organization. And the way we are using leadership in the CPC change management methodology is there is actually a group of people which are leading the adapters to that future state. And I think this is a very important element, and we have Charlie here, which is a very, very crucial core team member in every change project, which is leading the people through the future state. And these are the sponsors, there's the change team, but then there's also these ambassadors and change agents, a larger group of people which are enabling the adopters to reach the target. And the last point here is that institutionalization, which is important, that we are developing routines, developing new mindset in order to make sure that we are not falling back into the old habits. And this is something which happens so often. We can intellectually comprehend what the future state is, and we might act accordingly for a while, but how to create it as a second nature. And only when we have it as a second nature, we then are on the right path to make it as an institution what we want to achieve in our organization. So that's a little bit quick introduction into the 4 knowledge areas. And I think with that, we already come into the Q&A session. And we take an interesting approach. So Q&A typically is the audience has questions to the presenters, but we had the liberty as well to pose a few questions to you as well. But I want to start with your questions, and maybe as Anna, you have said it in the beginning, I will switch off the recording, but please feel free. Well, how does this, what we presented from change management, how does it resonate with you? What are you taking away at this moment? Thanks a lot, everybody, for your contributions. It has been an excellent session, and looking forward to talk to you soon again.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you all, and very great to have also like more ambassadors for change management around the world. So have a good day, take care, and see you soon. Bye-bye.